HRE Mirror. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mongolian Heights. Spawning in on the right side, it is going to be Beastyqt playing as the Holy Roman Empire in red, and on the left side, who do we got, Aussie?
Playing in the blue color as the Holy Roman Empire as well, it is going to be Wham01. Both players opening up with some wood gathering here, so you can suspect there is indeed going to be plenty of boats out today, plenty of fishing boats. What is this village doing? Oh, this village is going for a sneaky little corner dock. Look at that. That's a rare sight.
I like it. Especially if the opponent can't spot it. That could be a great way to add yourself some extra eco. Now, looks like we're gonna have Beasty moving out for a dock as well. This villager having some idle time over here. You see that the Wham is lacking the wood to drop that dock. Beasty already dropping it. Slightly more optimized, you would say, for our red player here.
Yeah, I think Wham probably didn't work out, exactly how much time he's going to need to get that dock in the corner. An interesting spot. So already you can tell by the spot that Wham is going for that he wants to do, I guess you would call it like a no aggression pact with Beastyqt. Basically, he wants to wall up the crossing. You have your side, I have my side, everybody's happy. Now, this can work for Wham, but the problem is that if Beasty maintains control of those crossings, even it be through a potential galley that comes out or something like that, it can be difficult for Wham because he might get dropped. And we talked about this before the game started, the potential for there to be drops here on this map. When players have got control of the river, it's highly likely that they're going to look to exploit that. And I suspect that's exactly what we're going to be seeing today.
And Wham having a very rough start over here sheep-wise. He only has 5 of them, which is one of the worst sheep counts I've ever seen on this map. Beasty got most of the sheep. He's probably got 20 plus. And that is a big boost. Obviously, both of the players are fishing, but HRE, they love their sheep. It's going to be a very safe source of food. Indeed, 24 sheep to work with here for Beasty. I don't think I've ever seen such a number on this map. It is spectacular.
Oh, the walls trying to come up for Beastyqt. Obviously, a barracks already coming down for Wham. Looks like he's going to be able to get them all up. No shenanigans today. Wham gets the barracks up, and immediately a spearman comes out. But he's going to have to go the long way, and we already got ourselves some walls coming up, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, walls are coming up, and right now, of course, Beasty wants to play a long game. We have seen that he's really good when it comes to that late game scenario. So the key thing here for Beasty is to just buffer up this early aggression from Wham and make sure that we're playing a long and grindy game. Just like game number 2, just like the previous game as well. Going to Imperial because this is where Beasty feels the most confident. It makes a lot of sense for him to play that defensive game at the beginning. And it looks like the villager might actually get the walls up before the spearman arrives here as well. Looks like the spearman is actually going to cross at a different crossing. That is one spearman out with a second one on the horizon. Bit of a Mongol-style approach over here from Wham, if you think about that. Mongols would try to do the same thing against a dock build, try to go for the spears, burn it down. Now, the question is whether Beasty knows about the dock of Wham, because Beasty might be under the impression that Wham doesn't have a dock. That sheep count is disgusting, I must say.
What do we got for a sheep count here? Can we just take a quick look here? I know the Beasty's got an absolute plethora. Oh my god. Beastyqt with 26 sheep. Now moving forward with 8 villagers. Going for a little bit of a forward... Is he putting down his arc? No, it's not the Ark and Chapel. What's he doing? This is not a standard play that you would expect coming out from Beastyqt here. It's an 8 villager outpost that gets placed down here. This doesn't seem very efficient, does it?
I can see this working out. He really wants to get this up, but this is great damage being done over here by Wham, and forcing 8 villagers to walk out here, drop a tower, that's actually pretty good value for those spearmen, and now these villagers will probably have to walk back home. And right now they're being cut off from being able to walk back home, actually, so they're gonna be like, okay, what do we do now in the middle of this field? 1 or 2 might actually get picked off over here by the spears. Looks like the prelate will be pulled to heal, though, so Beasty gets away with this one.
Yeah, it looks like he's now got a prelate out here. Unfortunately, one of them does go down. So Wham definitely going to be happy that he's found himself a little bit of luck here. But I got to say, forcing out that idle time on Beastyqt definitely has gone a long way. And that barracks, of course, it's going to be something that you're going to want to make as the Holy Roman Empire. So, getting it out there in the feudal age, might as well do it. But now barracks, or rather the barracks units, the spearmen are going to be focused down by that outpost. 2 units sitting inside the outpost. And they're going to be slowly but steadily. And I feel like this is just a bit of a fruitless effort because worst case scenario, Beastyqt just pulls 3 villagers from the wood line. and starts repairing this when it gets to about 50 health. I don't think he's got emergency repairs out here. In fact, I think it unlocks in the feudal age. But you can see that he's just throwing away these units at this point.
Yeah, it feels awkward because he's trying to torch down that tower, and I think we might already have some villagers being pulled here. Actually, now that you think about it, yeah, the villagers should be able to reach this one. I don't think this is going to work out for Wham. Repair power will be just enough to make sure that that tower stays alive to kill the spearman, or is it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, more than enough. The prelate even coming out and saying, hey, guys, don't forget about me. Trying to turn their attention towards it. Now, Villager going to be playing a little bit of a loop-to-loop over around this side. And you can see he's managed to get it down, but Beastyqt on the age up right now. With a lot of walls coming down towards this south side. Beasty trying his best to wall it up. But unfortunately, his walls are going to be crossing over with the walls of Wham. And Wham going to be preventing any kind of shenanigans from Beasty and always going to enable those units to be getting past that crossing.
Beautiful Aken Chapel spot over there for Beasty, and he's on the way to Feudal Age. Notably, Wham is not. I mean, Wham is trying to make sure that Beasty can't wall this crossing off, and he's doing a good job with that. I just don't know where he's going right now. I would love to see him dropping a tower on the fish of Beasty if he's trying to play aggressive, like really try to contest that fish. And it looks like that Spearman is blocking the walls from being finished here for Beasty, so this crossing may remain open.
Yeah, Beasty doing a pretty decent job at this point in time, but he's going to try and get that wall up, and you can see we've actually got Wham who's walled himself out of that crossing. He's now going to be dropping down a gate across it as well, but he's done a double wall, something that you would expect to see for players looking to block off any land movement as well as any water movement. And now going to continue coming out. The Spearman going to be moving out, and you can see him just very happily holding ground and now looking to try and come out here. Scout going to be heading back over to this side as well and going to be able to chase that villager back towards his town center. And things are looking good right now for Wham.
Yeah, it's looking pretty decent for him. He's got a slight equal lead. You can see he's 35 versus 30. Plus, he's going to pick off this villager. And there is the tower coming up. Now, I wonder if Beasty sees that. He might not actually spot that tower until it's too late. And that would be a great tower to work with for Wham. And keep in mind, right now, Beasty cannot really put any pressure on Wham's fishing eco. In fact, this POV is perfect. Look at the bottom side of that minimap. Not even scouting the area where Wham's dock is at. Beasty has no idea that Wham has a dock.
He should know because of the wall. The wall across the river indicates that he doesn't want him to come down there with ships. That to me is...
Not necessarily.
That's my thinking.
You could just place that wall to prevent the... to prevent Beasty from walling. Now he's going to see it though, so I guess all our theorizing just went down the drain. But yeah, could have been either way.
Look at the timing. Look at that timing. The villager goes down and the outpost, unfortunately, a bit of a doubt post, it seems, as it does indeed not get up today. You might look to bring more villagers out, but there is a second galley that's coming out and looking to secure up these crossings. Yeah, as you mentioned, Beastyqt is now scouted out this dock down towards the south, so I'm curious to see how he responds, but I suspect it's not going to be anything until the castle age.
Yeah, it's likely going to be the case. He can't really break through those walls right now. Both players working towards castle, and I do see a couple of villagers on stone there for Wham. I'm fairly certain it's for arrow slits only, because he only has 2 villagers out there. He was probably anticipating that tower to go up. Little did he know that the galley was about to pop out for Beasty to pick off that one villager building the tower. He might be able to get back to that tower if Beasty isn't noticing. So that could be something, especially if there is going to be some water fighting going on. Wham still has a chance to get that tower up, potentially.
Yeah, so now the villagers come out. 3 villagers of Wham going to be trying their best to come out here. If he approaches from the north, he might be able to get in there. The first villager, you can see there's a little bit of a blind spot here over around towards the right side. He's just going to come in with the villagers. Very ballsy here. The galley might just look to focus down those villagers. Indeed it does, but immediately tapping away. And look at it one-shotting the villager. But now that outpost is going to be fully stacked to the rafters with villagers, with spearmen, with scouts, with everything, and the Regnitz Cathedral goes down for Beasty.
Bit of a mismicro out there for Wham. I think he wanted to send in the spearman first, so it triggers the galley, but in the end the villager was there first, and it's gonna be double Ragnitz over here for both of these players. With the walls and the crossings set up in a way they are, it's just gonna be guaranteed 3 relics for the both players. But the advantage that Wham is having right now is that he's the aggressor on the water. He's the one that's threatening the fishing eco of Beasty, and we haven't really seen a response from Beasty to that just yet. The question now becomes, how are you trying to build an even larger advantage over here? What's the next step for each of these players?
Yeah, well, I can't help but feel like it's got to be Imperial. As soon as you think about Regnitz, as soon as you think about Regnitz Cathedral, you're thinking about Imperial because it's that whole scaling concept, you know, playing a little bit more greedy. So I'm preparing right now for a 35-minute game on the Holy Roman Empire Mirror. Who is going to win? Who knows? But Beastyqt, obviously heading into the late game, he's going to be happy with this. Anytime he's playing in the late game, as we mentioned before, he's going to be a happy camper because this is his home ground. You know, basically, it's like he's playing on his home turf whenever the game is going longer than 30 minutes. But now that Regnitz Cathedral about to come out, we start to see relics getting picked up. Wham already up in the third age. He's got those relics coming in towards him, and Beastyqt standing in position, picking up his own relics. There's one, there's two. There's the three. All three now picked up for Beastyqt.
Notably, the walls of Wham have been breached on that one crossing by the scouts, and now galleys are guarding it. So technically, Wham's base is now open. That's something that he's gonna have to respect. And now you see the scouts trying to torch their way through. A Hawk is gonna pop out for Wham over here as a response to that aggression, and that should maintain control over that crossing. One relic already garrisoned in here for Wham, which means that he's gonna have a slight edge in terms of that gold generation. Beasty yet to stash that first relic into his Regnitz Cathedral.
Yeah, we'll take some time before he gets it back there. We can see him walking back. He's going to be able to put 2 relics in that Regnitz Cathedral. The third relic, well, that's up for him to decide. But typically you see the Holy Roman Empire players look to try and get a keep out. And then, oh, beautiful micro right there from Wham, just getting those shots off on the scouts, taking them out. And now going to be sealing up that position over on that crossing. I wouldn't be surprised if he deletes the wall and look to go through and apply some pressure up the river, though.
Yeah, could be a thing. He has a Hawk, whereas his opponent does not have a Hawk. Plus, of course, you still have that tower right next to Beasty's dock, and you could build up a respectable lead on the water using that. And this is how you start to snowball a game in your favor on this map. You build up that water control, because that means that the opponent can't get to your base, but you can get to his. And that's how you probably want to start off. Stonewall is now coming in on the right side here, Beasty, with a new dock to rejuvenate that fishing eco. On the other hand, though, Wham has no desire to go into Imperial, potentially. He's already dropping the stables, so we could see a Castle Age push from him. And indeed, look at that. His resources vanished. He's queuing Knights. He isn't planning to go Imperial. The question is, can he do enough damage before Beasty gets to him? Because Beasty is definitely going up with the Palace of Schwabia. That's what I wanted to say. Forgot the name. You know, the Villager Factory. That's what.
Were you? There was a part of me that was thinking he's not going to say Elsbach, is he? Surely not. No, it is of course the Villager Printer. The Palace of Swabia coming up towards those northern crossings. We do actually see the Hulk has decided to break through those walls, being deleted, and now heading upriver. But we can also see Wham is intent on causing havoc over the other side. But I can't help but feel this is dangerous territory for him, because even if he's over there doing some damage, Beasty's going to be in Imperial Age. He's going to be printing out those cheap villages extra effectively, and it's going to mean that Beasty is just in a very supreme position. But now that Hulk looking to do a bit of a dance out here in the middle of the map, trying its best to just cause havoc, but unfortunately not going to be the case here, as the galleys do a pretty decent job of holding up against them.
Yeah, second Hulk is now out for Wham, and there is still one galley that's being sunk, Hulk retreating, so this is a fight that Wham is winning. Knights are now crossing, and now the question becomes how much damage can you cause with those, because you're obviously not going into Imperial, so essentially every second that you're not killing villagers from Beasty, he's going to build up a villager lead based on his availability of the Pass of Schwabia. So, quick walls coming in here. Can the Knights get there in time?
That is going to be the question. You can see he's going to have to make a little bit of a race down towards this south side. It doesn't seem like those Knights are going to be able to be left out. And indeed, Beasty tries to get these walls up. You can see him racing along there, but the villagers get caught with their pants down. And now Wham going to be able to pick up a couple of villagers. But keep in mind, Beastyqt's got that printer, and he is going to be able to brut out some villagers in no time.
That's exactly it. So what you have to do is run circles around the eco of Beasty. You don't want to dive under those town centers because they will melt your cavalry pretty fast, given the fact that you don't have the defense upgrade. So what you want to do, run circles around the enemy base, make sure that he's panicked, he has paranoia, that any moment a knight could pop out, start killing villagers, and he's just gonna be forced to keep so many villagers in the town centers. It doesn't matter that he has the villager lead if he has 20 idols consistently. And that's probably the scenario and the concept that Wham is using over here. He still has a couple of knights over here, and the next batch is about to arrive, I believe.
Wham now thinking about Imperial himself is going to be able to click up, and indeed he does. Now going to the Imperial Age with the Palace of Swabia himself. So both players looking to go up, and Wham trying his best to keep that villager count of his enemy down. Farm transition also coming in for Wham at this point. But the question is, where do we go from here? It's rare that you see the Holy Roman Empire make an archery range.
Probably men at arms.
Crossbows? Do we dare see crossbows?
It's weird. Couple more knights get in here. I love the knight addition here by Wham, specifically because it's forcing Beastyqt to go for the spearman. And Wham probably wants to play with men-at-arms in the long run, and those will be a great response to all of those spears. And guess what? Beast is running for his life. He can't find a place where he's accessing resources. This is the problem for him. He has the villager lead, but it doesn't matter when half of your eco is sitting idly in those town centers.
He's got 27 idle villagers at the moment, a lot of sheep under this town center. So there's plenty of sheep. There's still those resources to be held. But now looking for a bit of a forward keep. And look at the knight numbers now for Wham. This ain't pretty for Beasty. Beasty's starting to struggle. There's more knights out on this field than there are spearmen. And now all of a sudden, Wham turns his attention towards taking them out. He's going to be falling back for the moment, looking to siege down units. You can see he's got the torches out, but now going to be looking and looming towards the next potential play. We'll have to see how he looks to play it, because he's now overtaken Beastyqt when it comes to the villager count.
And there's a hawk on the northern side that could sink all the fishing eco of Beasty. And Beasty, he is yet to transition to farms. He still has some leftover sheep from Dark Age. This is how you know how many sheep he was able to grab. But once you have to start that farming transition, it's gonna be a nightmare to deal with all of those high mobility knights with those spears. And Wham, he just needs to make sure that he's maintaining his presence, always being at the back of the enemy base, making sure that Beasty can't move out, because if he does, he's going to risk getting evaporated by those knights at the back of his eco.
And now we see the archery ranges coming down. For the first time in what feels like 1,000 games, we're seeing the Holy Roman Empire make archery ranges. That is going to be the case, and it makes a lot of sense in this matchup. Typically, you would want to be going for men-at-arms together with about 3 bombards. That's typically how it works. You go, men-at-arms, mix in a few spears, mix in a few lance-connects, depending on what your need is, and then bombards in the back. But going up against a fellow Holy Roman Empire player, it feels like it's a little bit of a fruitless labor, isn't it? So it makes sense to be able to get that, to be able to get those crossbows out and try and dish out that extra damage.
Yeah, Beast is grabbing a lot of upgrades, actually. He has gotten the melee armor upgrade for the spearman. He's grabbing spearman upgrades in general. Also focusing quite a lot on the eco upgrades, whereas look at what we have on the left side for Wham. He is going to start adding hand cannoneers, and we have seen that a large amount of hand cannoneers is brutally difficult to stop, and with the HRE, you have the eco to keep spamming them. Bombards, hand cannoneers, and culverins feels like a really devastating composition here for the HRE. And look at Beast's villager count. This is where that harassment from those knights comes into play. Suddenly, he's behind by 12.
Yeah, there's a huge difference here. And keep in mind, Wham still got the fishing boats out on the river. He's able to pull in that extra little bit of food from there. Obviously, Beasty's had plenty of sheep, and that was really the difference between these two guys in the early game. But that relic actually was just chilling out. There were 2 wolves sitting behind it. Yeah. You guys know exactly where they've come from. That is unfortunate. The prelate unfortunately losing its life. But that relic still sitting safely on the opposite side of the map from Beastyqt. So I don't think he needs to worry too much about losing it.
Yeah, not at all, but obviously that's an extra 100 gold per minute that you're missing out on, and now Beasty has to start working on that farm transition, and I think Wham already has his farm transition in the mix, because if you think about that, he was so low on the sheep that he needs those farms much sooner than his opponent, so he's probably done with that already. Yeah, respectable amount of farms. He also has some fishing eco, unlike Beasty, so this is already the time frame where Wham is going to focus fully on his army production with the hand cannoneers and the knights, rather than his eco, and this could give him some very nice momentum over here.
Bit of a battle down towards the south crossing as Wham tries his best to hold on for dear life. Beasty was looking to push across it. We saw a men-at-arm now going to be running away and losing its life. But also the raid was cleaned up towards the north side of the map, or rather the eastern side of the map. But now Beastyqt going to be looking to hold on to this position. The Springald emplacement in a fortified outpost, and the Bombard is now marching out on the field. The first Bombards making their way out for Beastyqt. No surprises there. He is considered by many to be the champion of Siege, and he looks to try and take control of this game with more and more Siege.
Yeah, the key thing here for Wham is not to let Beasty make walls on those crossings. Because, as you said, Beasty is the king of the siege here. If you focus the battle to just one area, one crossing, the siege is just going to wipe you out. But how about having 3 crossings open? That would open up the possibility for Wham for raiding, and this is exactly how you can beat a full siege army, with raiding. Bombards, though, taking out most of those vessels over there on the river. You see one Hawk already got taken down. The second one is going to sink after a second cannonball hits it, and that's a ton of resources sinking to the bottom of that river over here for Wham.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling when you lose your Hulks like that. Basically for free, they had almost nowhere to go. And now again in the center, the Hulk is under attack. Hand Cannoneers starting to build up for Wham. But now finally going to be getting in those upgrades. Keep in mind, the upgrade's not particularly important for Wham from the Blacksmith, considering that he's going to be going for these Hand Cannoneers, which really don't benefit that much. I mean, when you're putting +1 on 35, taking it from 35 to 36, it's not a big deal. It's not that much. There's not a lot of break points between 35 and 36 damage.
It ain't much, but it's honest work, obviously. With that being said, now the eco lead actually starts to swing in favor of Beasty because he's now adding a tremendous amount of farms. And Wham, his fishing ships are starting to get picked off by that cannon out there. You see those fishing ships just casually fishing while being shelled by a cannon. Looks like some walls will be broken through, but the hand cannon numbers getting to a dangerous domain. And if you look at Beasty's army, 11 men-at-arms, 14 spearmen, 2 bombards, not spectacular against hand cannoneers.
Yeah, it can be one of the difficult things because in this matchup, you very much want to, or rather, playing as the Holy Roman Empire, you very much want to focus on your infantry. You want to focus on men-at-arms. You obviously get a lot of upgrade. You get the heavy maces. You get so many different upgrades for those units. And so it just makes sense to go into them. But now, look at the wall coming out for Wham-01. I tell you what, he's going to need to add a few more digits onto his name with a wall like that. That is a massive wall.
Yeah, size matters, I guess.
Oh, no. Lidakor, don't do me like that.
Oh, no.
A 9
that
makes its way
overchop.
through.
That overchop, that's going to be painful for Beasty.
Yeah, he does respond to it, though. We see the spearmen moving out. They're going to be shutting this down very quickly. Get out of here. And there are more knights waiting or lying in wait. But Wham doing a pretty decent job here. I'm liking his composition as well. Knights together with the hand cannoneers. He's continuing to move out now. Wham going to be in a bit of trouble as Beastyqt cleans up the rest of that raid. And now looks to try and take back control of his south side of the island.
Yeah, the unit composition is great for Wham. I'm somewhat surprised about the fact that he's a little pedestrian when it comes to setting up his eco, though. Like, he stopped making villagers at like 85 or 90, and now he's very slow adding those villagers out there. Beasty has had a much more rapid build-up of villager count in the last few minutes. It's not a big deal right now for Wham. He might actually want to be capped out at like 105, 110 villagers at max, and just spend the rest of it on army. But with a very expensive army like hand cannoneers and knights, you probably want to go up to like 125 villagers or so.
Yeah, I definitely feel like when you're playing the Holy Roman Empire, you know, don't be afraid to go to those ludicrous amounts of villages because you're always going to be able to just delete them. You don't pay a lot for your villages. I think it works out to be like 16 or 17 food that you're paying for each of them from the Palace of Swabia. So don't be afraid to go up to, you know, those ludicrous amounts of 140, 150 villages. But still, we see players yet to really reach those all-time highs. They're about 114 at the moment. Still decent pop for these guys. Yeah, 17 villages we see, or 17 food we see it there. But
looks like a breakthrough in the crossing.
Not going to get up, though. Yeah, we've got ourselves a bit of a breakthrough here. Beastyqt sitting on 37 military pop, and keep in mind, is not the most effective pop either. He's got a lot of spears in here, which they're very inexpensive.
Yeah, but also very inefficient population-wise. And yeah, you're right about that one. It's not a big deal for the HRE to overboom, because worst case scenario, you just send in a bunch of kamikaze villagers to snipe siege with or something. I remember one of the AoE 2 players, one of the best AoE 2 players out there, Nikov, once said that he's making villagers until he's 200 population. Because it's easier to delete villagers when you don't need them than to build them when you do.
Very, very true. That's a great quote. I like that a lot. And it makes a lot of sense, especially when you're paying that discounted price. But now Beasty looking to move out down towards the south side. Going to be looking to secure up, I suspect, some wood as he continues expanding. He'll be looking to move forward. He's put the relic inside the keep at this point. And the question is, where does he go from here? He continues moving down to the south side. There's quite a few bombards that are down here, so that's going to leave an opening for his opponent. And Wham, I mean, he's in a good spot.
Interesting question. Oh, Culver is actually getting a pick off. Big one.
Culver, yeah, that is big. And unlike the Chinese matchup, where the Culverin are the same range as the bombards, here they are greater range. They have a range of 12. So do we potentially see the Beasty Culverin bombard strategy coming out again, the full mech, you know, crazy stuff. But there was one game that Beastyqt played where there was 8 Culverin out on the battlefield.
Yes,
and
I
he won
remember
that game.
And
are we going to see the same thing today?
Yeah, we've been talking about that Culverin because we were like, okay, what is he doing? There is not even... I remember his opponent had no siege on the battlefield and he was mass-producing Culverins, and we were like, what is he doing? But turns out Culverins, they have a high range, relatively high effective DPS because they do have a reasonable base attack. They're not going to do much against buildings. In fact, they do barely nothing. But they are really good to snipe enemy siege, and as long as you keep them protected, they are also good as a general-purpose unit. You see 85 damage in a unit that also doesn't have to deploy to fire. That is respectable at minimum.
Yeah, it's a pretty damn good deal that you've got there with the Culverin. But now you can see them continuing to push up and looking to try and snipe out that siege. Instead, just going to be looking to snipe out some of those knights, dishing out some damage over there. Damn, it feels good to be a knight. But Wham now hitting on that 199 population mark. He's about to be maxed out. He's got plenty of upgrades in the queue. He's got chemistry. He's got elite army tactics. Over on the other side, we see chemistry coming through. And now both players really looking to shore up their positions in the late game. No real passage going through just yet. You know, I said a little bit earlier that we were gearing up for a 35-minute game. I feel like we might be gearing up for a 65-minute game because these guys really don't seem that intent on pushing forward. They're just, it's very, very subtle. No mistakes really. You know, if you make any big movements, then you could be potentially exploited. And now,
yeah, that's the thing.
Big movements. Look at Beasty up towards the north. He's found a big opening.
That's gonna be a nice
gaping hole in the wall of Wham.
But Wham's army, look at that. He's been waiting patiently because he's building up his numbers, and now that army, if that's not scary, then I don't know what is. 13 knights, hand cannoneers, Landsknecht, and you see the men-at-arms got through, but good luck doing any damage against all those hand cannoneers, and this might be a better fight for Wham than it is for Beasty. Yeah, indeed, Beasty probably was happy that he got through. Wham, he may have intentionally let him through, to be honest. Looks like some more spearmen are coming out here, but that could be the primary focus of our battle. More open fields though, and now the spearmen will take a fight against the knights. This is the first good engagement for Beasty, I feel.
Yeah, he's going to be able to pick off some villages as well. You can see that both players just preparing themselves non-stop for this late game. Just walls going up everywhere, outposts going up everywhere. 200 population now reached for Wham. Beasty still got a little bit in the queue. He's got 192 population, but no shortage of resources to spend it on it. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful double-handed swords striking those units of Beastyqt.
Yeah, those spearmen will just evaporate. Like, at this point, Beasty's best bet is to just pull those Landsknecht at the back. They will pick off 1 or 2 villagers here. And Landsknecht looks like they just turn around because there is a bigger prize to take over here, and that is the Culverins on the middle of the battlefield.
Beasty got to be careful because Wham's pushing up. There's a lot of hand cannoneers out here. Beasty slowly climbing up with that Culverin number, but not if Wham's got anything to say about it. 5 Culverin out for Beastyqt. More units still coming in, and you can see the outpost, or rather the keep, just firing down on the units down below it, and manages to get away with the majority of the siege there. So Beastyqt still going to be happy with that engagement, and you can see the reinforcements flooding onto the field. What kind of numbers of production buildings do we have over here for Beastyqt? I'm curious to see, because I suspect it's probably around that 25-30 region.
Oh yeah, he probably has that much, and the concern right now for Wham is that slowly... Ooh, that's a lot. 14 barracks, 23 stables, so he's going to start adding horsemen here. And the danger for Wham is that there are multiple openings right now, and he's got a slow-moving army. He needs to sort of fix those issues. He needs to stop that bleeding, because we're entering the domain where Beasty is just going to grind him down with wave after wave of relentless cavalry raids. So you gotta start making those walls double secure, because if you don't, suddenly you're going to face so many raids that you won't be able to handle it. And you see, this is the problem you're facing. You're not taking fights with your otherwise superior army. You are just chasing units that you are not supposed to chase.
Yeah, so now Wham going to be sitting down at 112 villagers. But one of the interesting things to note is that we have got trebuchets coming out in this matchup. I don't think I've seen a Holy Roman Empire player make trebuchets since like 1996. So it is going to be curious to see exactly how they perform here. Continuing to move up, they are almost rolling themselves into what I would suspect is danger. You are in danger, trebuchets.
Great performance.
I don't know where you're going.
Very effective use of the trebuchets. I have to say that it was really valuable addition to the army of Wham. This is my honest assessment on the trebuchets in this battle.
The trebuchets have done well. A valiant effort by the trebuchets, but unfortunately, not a... That's a game-winning move right there.
Yeah.
That's a proxy base. That's behind enemy lines. That could be big. And Beasty looking to stonewall it up over on that side. Is he coming over here for wood? He's brought a prelude out as well. Everyone's over here on the east side of the map.
I mean, the problem here for Vam is that he's not advancing anywhere in this game, right? And this is, as we talked about, is the domain where Beasty feels so confident in. Vam needs to do something to win this game here. We talked about this a million times when we were casting Beasty games. Beasty doesn't mind playing 7-hour-long games over here. And he's going to do that if you don't do something here. And oh, look at those walls. Those are panic walls over there.
And those are only palisade walls. I'm telling you, man, if Beasty gets some sneaky little stables over on that side, you could very easily see a snipe coming through. Where are the landmarks for Wham? That's going to be a question, because Beastyqt, he's preparing himself for the late game. And we're 30 minutes into this game. You would have thought he would have been prepared, but there's the landmarks. He's got the Regnitz, the main town center. He's also got the Palace of Swabia and the Arkan Chapel, all within a screen of each other. So if Beastyqt wants to, and he is the type of guy that does it, he could go for a snipe here.
Possibly. Obviously, you have the emergency repairs available with the HRE, so that makes life a little more difficult for the person trying to snipe. But it's probably more about the distraction, the ability to just distract the opponent with a cavalry raid, force him to send some units back to clean it up, and then you just use that window to push the middle area. And this is a problem for Wham. Like, he is constantly being raided left and right, having to deal with all of these annoying pushes at the back of his base, and this is the reason why he can't cross. I mean, if you look at his army, he actually has thrown away all the knights, so now it's only Landsknechte and the hand cannoneers. But this is a devastating army. If he could take a direct engagement, it would work really well. Quaverins still close to the riverside, though. I don't know. I just don't see how Vam is going to get to the next stage of the game. That's my problem here.
I'm doing all these calculations in my head, and I'm thinking, all right, what if Beasty, like, he's the kind of guy to do some really crazy things, right? Now, the question is about how much respect Wham gives this mining, or this secret operation up towards the north. Because if Wham gives it the appropriate amount of respect it deserves, he will kill that. He will wipe it out. Yeah. He will clean that up completely. He will send a bombard, he will send Landsknechts, and he will murder every single villager behind those lines. Every villager, every prelate, every man, every... Whoa, hold on. But you get the point, right? Because the problem is, if that stays up there, then there's always going to be this threat. And there's only palisades that are up there right now to protect Wham from a potential snipe. Now, the reason why I bring up the concept of a snipe is because in realistic terms, we've got ourselves a bit of a stalemate here. You know, neither player really able to progress through. We can see Beasty's going to be bringing out units here to the front side, but there's so much siege here to deal with it. There's so many Landsknechts able to prevent any damage from being done. How do players progress?
Yeah, that's exactly it. But the thing is that if Vam pulls his forces to clean that forward up, Beasty is going to cross the river with all his siege, and I think this is what Beasty is waiting for. Wait a second, we got some spearmen on the walls of Vam over here. This is what happens when you misplace your gates.
Did you see that? They go up the first gate, down the other side of the other one to get to the villages, and now they're going to be able to find it. Oh, Beastyqt, you absolute magician. Oh, my lord. He got cancelled. He's like, how did you guys get here? I fooled you out.
Wait. Oh, they're not going up.
Oh, my lord. He is being very cheeky. But one of the things I'm thinking about, Beasty could technically, if he wanted to, I would be like, why don't you try and put a wonder in like the bottom corner or something? Try and force your enemy down towards that position, and then at the same time go for a landmark snipe. Like, it's actually a big brain move if you think about it, but I reckon it's 100% viable.
I mean, when I first heard the wonder, like the word wonder, I was like, are you fine? It has been a couple of hours of casting. Did you suffer permanent mental damage that you're suggesting a landmark or a wonder here? But then you look at those resources and say, hold on for a minute, that's a ton of resources in the bank for Beasty, and honestly, a wonder is not something that's completely out of the question here.
Yeah, there's more than enough resources here for it. The only issue he's going to have is stone. There's still plenty of stone out on the map. So down towards the south side, I think there's 2 stone mines that are available there. We see a town center coming down for Beasty, looking to extend out that healing aura, the emergency repairs. You can see the stone outcropping 1, 2. So that's at least 3,000 stone. He's going to be able to afford buying or purchasing the other stone available to him. But we can see that obviously there are competing priorities. And now we also see some traders coming out. So, oh my lord, just when you thought that trade was something not necessary here, Wham says, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Ooh, the Culverins getting caught in the middle. That was at least 2 or 3 Culverins going down over there. Big punch to Beasty's forces, and suddenly Vam is unleashing hell. He's got a new component to his army, that being the Horseman. So suddenly he could catch up and just jump on those mangonels straight away. Speaking of mangonels though, that's a ton of firepower to deal with.
Yeah, he's going to be in a tough position here. You can see the Mangonel is going to be sitting in underneath this keep. He's trying to get it off, but Wham actually looking pretty good. All of a sudden, we were talking about stalemate, but it seems like we've got a stalemate breaker as Wham looks to come through underneath these keeps. The bombards on the backside, expensive siege, all going to be going down here for Beastyqt if he's not careful. And indeed, look at how fast those infantry move. They've got that upgrade for the Holy Roman Empire. He moves in, takes out all the siege from Beastyqt, and now all of a sudden, Beastyqt looking like he might be in a little bit of danger.
Is he in danger though? He's got the reinforcements instantly popping out because he's got infinite resources to work with. Look at the population of Wham though. He has committed so much, and he ran under the castle, eat the boiling oil, and he lost so many of his units. Those are fragile units. We're talking about hand cannoneers and the Landsknechte. And if you look at the army of Wham, that is just showing sadness. 16 units, and Beasty's back to 200 population in no time.
Like it's absolutely nothing. Beastyqt is like, oh, there was an attack. Okay, let me just spend a quarter of my resource bank on refilling that out. But now Beasty turns the tides. All of a sudden, just when the push came to shove over on one side of the map, now Beasty turns his attention down towards the west side. And there are plenty of villagers down there looking to get taken out. You can see the damage that gets done here. It's going to be absolute insanity as Beasty now looks to turn his attention towards a potential trade line as well. Horseman just running rampage through the base of Wham, and Beastyqt looking like he might be in a solid position. He forced his enemy to commit to a large attack, and now all of a sudden gets to punish him greatly.
Yeah, he's punishing him greatly, and it's a 150 population steady for Wham. His resource bank is terrible, especially that gold count is very underwhelming, and that's a big difference between the two players. Beast is sitting on 8,000 gold, his opponent only at 64, and the traders have all been killed, so there is nothing that generates the gold for Wham except for those relics in there, but that's not gonna be sufficient. And the numbers looking better and better for Beasty. He can afford to spam units until eternity, essentially. He has enough resources to keep spamming for the next 5 hours, whereas for Wham, he's being drained dry.
Yeah, it's a tough position for him. Beasty manages to replace all of his army in the blink of an eye. The reinforcements have come out, and Wham going to be trying to collect all of these debts that is owed to him. But now, up towards the north, we can see the wood operation, the secret operation of wood collecting is still underway. Still a bit of a secret as well.
And you're also taking away resources from the opponent using that, so that's also one extra thing here. Every single bit of resource you can take from the opponent's side of the river is immensely valuable. New army remade over here for Wham. Full horseman army though, and you gotta respect it if you're Beasty, because one thing that Beasty doesn't really have is mobility. So unleashing 50, oh no, the villagers! Did you see that?
Oh, that's a lot of Landsknechte.
If I ever made a tutorial video about the Landsknechte, I would just use that screenshot as an example.
That was painful. That was a lot of dead villagers at the exact same time. Look at these Landsknechte as they move in. Horsemen going to be trying to take them out. Let's see exactly how they take them out, though, because the Landsknechte going to be doing that area damage. And look at them swing, swing, spin, spin to win. And indeed, they're doing so much work here, trying their best, and they are taking down so many horsemen. Look at them hold the line right now. Oh, my Lord, it's disgusting.
I thought that that's gonna be a cleanup for horsemen with only a few casualties, and the battlefield is littered with dead bodies.
And that's not a good position for Wham. He's down to 148 population right now. Beastyqt on the other side, he's on 2. How does Beastyqt look at the resources in the bank for him right now? I'm just going to calculate this. 17 plus 16,000, that's 33,000 plus the 6,000 gold. He's got more than 40,000 resources. Wham can't even scrounge together 100 villagers.
Not at all. And the thing is that so many villagers were lost, and that is one of the relics also out of that keep now. So we're down to 2 relics for Wham. Beasty, he looks like he has put on cruise control, and we could be seeing Beasty take away the home map from Wham. A much needed win, because we talked about this one. Beasty needs to take away a home map from the opponent, now going for that last remaining small gold mine on the side of Wham.
Beastyqt doing an absolutely great job here, managing to come through, and now we've got villagers. It's not going to be a forward wonder. Indeed, it is going to be a forward keep, looking to secure up that gold mine, prevent any further shenanigans come through on that mine. And now plenty of units running through for Beastyqt as well. He's in a great position, but honestly, you could just see him deleting villagers right now. He's got that much of a lead. He's continuing to funnel in units towards the enemy, but now taking out more and more of the infrastructure of Wham. Beastyqt looking very healthy, very happy over on this side of his enemy's base.
Do note that the trade is already set up for Wham as compared to Beasty, who doesn't have trade. Now is going to lose the bombards in the middle over here. Big loss over there for Beasty. Obviously, Beasty still has mineable gold left, and he's got a pretty huge resource bank. But if there is any way for Wham into this game, or back into this game, that's going to be through trade. But obviously, those horsemen will have some things to say about that first. Ooh, emergency repairs for that castle with that town center.
It's so smart, isn't it? Well, coming down in the middle. Wham just looking to just distract Beastyqt at this point and try and draw his APM to other areas. And now a little bit of a cleanup coming through. Wham still trying to hold the line. He's working his way back up towards that 200 population. He's at 178 at the moment as the villagers pull their torches out and look to try and siege down the bombards. The emergency repairs not going to be enough. The villagers unfortunately going to get caught with their pants down as the knights and horsemen look to try and maul them completely, and Beastyqt might get cleaned up on this south side of Wham's base.
But what's the price of that? Wham had to abandon his entire trade. He's down to 92 eco. And Beasty, he can afford to lose all those villagers because he has plenty of resources in the resource bank. Meanwhile, for Wham, can he afford to lose so much eco? The answer, I get the feel it's gonna be no.
More units continuing to funnel in for Beastyqt. Beastyqt also thinking about trade. He's got 5k gold in the bank, so, you know, you're getting down there, so you might as well secure that trade line, right, Beasty? And now all of a sudden, he's going to be funneling in these horsemen towards the base of his opponent. It's not looking pretty. He's managing to clean up this on the south side, but the real damage is being done up towards the farm line. Wham down to 79 villagers, less than 140 population, and Beastyqt maxed out. He is on pedal to the metal, 4 just to the floor. He is impressive right now, and I don't think there's any way Wham comes back from this.
There is just no way for him. He's got some horsemen on the battlefield, but replenishing his forces is just a distant dream. And Beasty, he can afford to spam those units for eternity. He's now going to jump on all those bombards. Losing all of those is definitely a game-losing moment for Wham. If he has any chance to get back into this one, he cannot afford to lose those bombards, but he's going to lose quite a few of them. And with that, we're gonna have Wham tap out of this one. Beasty takes the home map of Wham, making it 3-2, and he's the one moving into match point.
Absolute insane stuff there from Beastyqt. He's somehow making, I don't even know how he did it. He found a will. He found a way. Incredible stuff there. Beautiful play from him. It was looking shaky in that early game. We saw the knights come across the river, look to do damage towards that villager count. Fortunately, he made it towards Imperial. He got that printer out. He started printing like a madman. And then, 40 minutes later, we saw a victory. I don't know how he managed to do that, but it just felt like his economy was in control the whole time. It never really looked like he was out of it. He constantly had so many more resources. Many more resources than his enemy.
This was a difficult one for Wham because he was supposed to push, but Beasty's defenses were so well set up, and that was the idea with the Cloverins. Beasty didn't even want to win a fight with those. He was just like, okay, I want to make sure that you don't push me at minute 25. I just want to make sure that you're only going to push me starting minute 45 when I know I'm confident in that late game scenario.